There's a specific threshold where someone's social value begins to collapse, and it almost never happens in a moment they can see. You're at a work happy hour, and you make a comment, the same type of comment you've made 100 times before, and this time, the energy doesn't bounce back. Something in the room's temperature drops half a degree, and the conversation continues like you haven't spoken. And you don't feel the damage until 3 weeks later when you notice the group chat has gone quiet and realize there's a different one you're not in. What I'm going to show you is the exact sequence of moments where social value drains, not the dramatic fallouts, not the obvious rejections. The invisible recalculations that happen in real time while you're still standing in the room, still speaking, still believing your position is intact. The worst part? Most of it happens behind a mechanism you've been taught to ignore. Social value works less like a light switch and more like a credit score. It's always being calculated, but you don't get real-time updates. By the time you feel the shift, the damage is already compounded. You're not responding to the event, you're responding to the fallout of 12 micro-events you didn't have the language to track. Your brain treats social exclusion like physical injury. Sharp, immediate, urgent. But it treats status loss like long-term threat. Different system. Worse outcome. Because exclusion says you're out. Status loss says you're still here, but you've been repriced. There's a concept in behavioral economics called revealed preference. People don't tell you your value. They show you through allocation of attention, decision-making weight, and whose input gets processed first. What you're about to see isn't people being cruel. It's a system recalculating in silence. You weren't imagining the shift. You were tracking data your conscious mind hadn't organized yet. So let me show you where the value drains, and why you miss it every time. Here's the question no one asks out loud. When was the last time someone repeated something you said to emphasize it, to build on it, to lock it into the group's shared understanding? You're in a meeting and you offer a solution to a problem the team has been circling for 20 minutes. The room goes quiet for half a second too long. Not hostile, just blank. Then someone shifts in their chair and re-raises a point from earlier, and the conversation picks up again like your contribution was weather passing through. No one argues with you. No one dismisses you. They just don't assign weight to what you said. What you're watching is a live reclassification. Your position in the social structure being recalculated in real time based on data you didn't know you were broadcasting. It's not that the idea was bad. It's that the room has already downgraded the source, so the idea doesn't get processed as viable. You tracked it correctly. That silence wasn't neutral. Now it gets expensive. Sociologists call this status leakage. Small, repeated moments where your position quietly downgrades. And the second signal is where it begins to spread. You notice that when the group makes plans, they're no longer checking with you before finalizing. They're telling you. Someone suggests dinner Friday. 3 people immediately confirm. You find out about it Thursday afternoon when someone asks if you're still coming, and you realize the decision was made across texts you never saw. You weren't excluded from the dinner. You were excluded from the formation of it. From the part where input matters. And here's the mechanism. Groups don't strip value all at once. They stop distributing it. They stop seeking your approval. They stop calibrating around your preferences. You're still invited, but you've been recategorized, not as a participant, as a guest. You hear the change before you understand it. Pay attention now. This one happens in silence. The third signal doesn't occur in conversation. It happens in the space between conversations. You're at a party, standing with a group of 5 people. Someone tells a story. Everyone laughs. The eye contact during that laughter, the quick glances people trade when something lands, creates a network, a map of who's connected to whom in that moment. And you notice that no one's eyes pass through you. The laughter connects around you, not to you. You're physically in the circle, but socially, you've been routed around. Like a stone in a river. The water doesn't fight it. It just moves past. Something in your posture shifts before you realize why. You feel yourself smile wider to compensate. You might even laugh a half-second longer than the moment requires, trying to signal that you're still synchronized, but overcompensation is its own signal, and the group reads it perfectly. This is where temporary becomes permanent. You think the problem is that you're being left out. Here's what's actually happening. You're being reclassified as someone whose absence wouldn't change the structure. Let me show you what that looks like. The group is planning a trip. Could be a weekend. Could be a work conference. Could be something months away. You're there when it's first mentioned. You even contribute, suggest a location, offer to research options. People nod. Someone says, yeah, maybe. The conversation shifts. 2 weeks later, you find out the trip is booked. Dates confirmed, lodging secured. And you weren't part of a single decision point. Not because anyone actively excluded you, because when they moved from maybe to let's actually do this, your presence in the equation was optional. They didn't need your commitment to move forward. That's the leak. You were part of the idea phase. You weren't part of the execution. And no one had to say it out loud. You weren't overthinking. You were underprepared to name what you saw. But this next one doesn't happen in the room. It happens after you've left. The fifth signal is reputational, and you only catch the echo. Someone tells you what another person said about you. Not harsh, not cruel, just diminished. Oh yeah, they're cool. Kind of quiet lately. Or they've been weird recently, I don't know. The phrasing is soft, but the effect is categorical. You've been redefined in a conversation you weren't part of, and that definition is now circulating. Here's what makes this irreversible. Reputation spreads faster than correction. Even if you change your behavior, even if you recalibrate, the people hearing about you secondhand are working off old data. You're being repriced in rooms you'll never enter, and by the time the signal reaches you, it's already settled. Everything up to now was the symptom. This is the disease. The sixth signal is structural, and it's the quietest. You're standing in a group, and without anyone saying a word, the geometry shifts. People angle their bodies slightly away from you, not turning their backs, just not oriented toward you. Someone new joins the circle and positions themselves between two other people, and the group contracts in a way that makes your position feel external. You notice your own voice get quieter. Not because you decided to speak less. Because you feel the room's permission to speak start to thin. So you wait for a gap in the conversation that feels wide enough. But the gaps close faster now. And when you do speak, you can feel yourself asking for space instead of just taking it. That's when it's done. You've internalized the reclassification. You're no longer operating as an equal participant. You're operating as someone trying to earn their way back to a position you didn't realize you'd lost. They didn't decide to freeze you out. The system decided you're no longer weight-bearing. Here's the worst part. Once it starts, it compounds. Every attempt to correct it, speaking up more, trying to be funnier, over-contributing to prove your investment, reads as confirmation. Desperation has a frequency, and groups are built to detect it. You might try to reassert yourself. You might try to force your way back into decision-making. You might even name it. Why didn't anyone tell me about this? And the response will be soft, confused, almost innocent. Oh, we thought you were busy. We didn't think you'd be interested. Not gaslighting, genuine recalibration. In their map of the group, your weight has already shifted. What you're fighting isn't a decision. It's a system that's already reorganized around your absence. And if you've felt this happening, check your own behavior from 6 months ago. Scroll back through your texts. Think about who used to be in the center of your group and isn't anymore. You've probably done this to someone without knowing. Not because you're cruel, because social value is a game with rules no one explains, and we enforce them without realizing we're playing. But once you see the pattern, you can stop feeding it. Awareness doesn't reverse it instantly, but it stops the bleeding. You stop overcompensating. You stop trying to argue your way back into a position that only exists through allocation, not negotiation. And you start building structure where your value isn't a variable. The system runs on invisibility. The moment you see it, you're no longer operating blind. If this is your first time here, this is what we do. We break down the social mechanics you're not supposed to notice. The ones that run silently until someone pulls the blueprint out and shows you the design. Tell me in the comments which signal you've watched happen to someone else. Not to you. To someone you saw get quietly reclassified. Just describe the moment, No context needed. You won't miss it twice.